Hey everybody, it's Dana and welcome back to day 5. We have already come to the end of the Valentine's Day card series already. Let's go ahead and get started. Today I'm working with some gorgeous products from Concord and Ninth, but let me share with you some of the cards that I did tutorials for. This was day 1 and this was day 3. Don't forget that I have a playlist that you can go back and watch and see all of my Valentine's Day card series for, I think, since 2016. All right, the products we're using today are Concord and Ninth All the Love stamp set. And I'm also going to be using the coordinating dies. I think these dies are just absolutely so gorgeous. And I'm also going to be using colored ink from Concord and Ninth, Honeysuckle, Grapefruit, and Ballet Slipper. I love this soft palette and I thought it'd be great for our last card. So what I did was I grabbed some of the smaller sentiments from All the Love stamp set, and I'm going to make my own background paper. So I'm going to start off with my lightest color, but I am going to condition my stamp by just rubbing my fingers over the top of it to kind of get off that factory kind of film that's on it. That's an easy and good way to condition your stamps. So now I'll go ahead and bring in that ballet slipper. Now I do want to grab myself a piece of scratch paper just to kind of put underneath this because I am going to be stamping off of the paper. So I'll ink that up to make sure I have enough ink on there, and then I'm going to go ahead and start making my background. Please excuse my head. I really need to adjust my camcorder so I can keep my head out of the scenes of my videos. So pardon all the grays. All right, so I'm going to start with that first, like I said, my lightest color. And then I'm going to switch over to the grapefruit, which is going to be my medium shade, doing the same exact thing, making sure to run some of the sentiment off of the card panel. And I'm just going to keep going through and just stamping this out, making sure that I get a good coverage of some of those colors. Now, I don't have to be like, 4 in this shade, 4 in that shade. I'm just trying to get a good blend of it. So now I'm going to come in with the darkest color, and that's that gorgeous honeysuckle. I love this color, you guys. Now you get to see all the gray hair because, yeah, my head's totally in the way of this shot. So I'm going to edit out the rest of my headshots. And I'm just going to keep stamping. I'm going to go ahead and clean this off because now I just want to take certain words to kind of fill in those gap areas. So I'm just making sure that I can clean off all of the stamps, and then I'll go ahead and pull off and just grab 1 or 2 at a time. Again, I'm just wanting to fill in some of the spaces. I don't need it to be all covered. I just want to fill in some pieces of it. I went ahead and I grabbed out my mushroom ink pad, and I decided to add a little bit of that to this card panel just to kind of fill in some of those areas with just a darker shade. And I did not want to go black here. This mushroom is one of my favorite gray shades, so I wanted to use this shade and not go very dark. Now on camera it does look black, but it is a very deep gray. All right, once I had all the stamping done, I'm going to grab that huge love die. I think this die is absolutely so gorgeous. I want to die cut this out of a lighter color paper. So I'm just going to line that up, and I think I want to go with the Ballet Slipper pink. I think that will bring in a little bit more of that softer pink, and I think this will look very pretty on there. So now I'm just going to go ahead and take this and run this through my die cut machine. Now to hold that in place, I'm just going to do my clear C tape and just tape that down just because so it doesn't shift. But also if I wanted to use this love die cut, the scrap pieces of this, I can use it and know it's going to be straight on my card panel. So I'll go ahead and run it through my die cut machine. And once I run it through, I do have a negative and a positive piece. So I'm just going to grab out the letters from here, and then I can always use that other piece for a card later. I do want to darken up the edges, I think, of this die cut. So I am going to grab my honeysuckle ink and a blending brush, and I'm just going to add a little bit of that color right around the edges, just to give a hint of the darker pink, but not actually going with the darker honeysuckle cardstock. I just want a little bit of that dark edging. And I think this will really make the love kind of pop a little bit more. Once I have that all done, I have cut this out in white and mushroom as well. And that's because I want to stack these, and I just want a slight bit of color variation. So if you're looking from the side of the card, you'll be able to see that color variation. I'm going to use this Bear glue. I've seen a lot of people using this glue, and I'll put a link to it, and I thought I would give it a try. The one thing I do love about this glue is the nozzle on here. Now, I've used several fine tip nozzles for glue before, but I find sometimes I get like a lot of gunk in them and they kind of stop working, or I have to keep rinsing them, the tip of it. This so far I have not had any problems with. I've been using it now for maybe about a month and a half, just kind of testing it out off screen. And I actually really like it. I like that I can get in really tiny spots and areas with this. And my nozzle just does not seem to clog up on this, which I'm absolutely loving. And you can see how like delicate some parts of this die is, and I can get a straight line using this glue. Now I'll go ahead and add that last pink layer. And I love doing my dies like this. I love giving my dies cut some weight, and it keeps me from having to use a lot of foam tape. Now I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing with the V and the E. And I love that this die cuts these letters separately. So you can arrange them straight across the card, you can arrange them top and bottom of a card, or you can offset them. I love how big this die is because it does cover a good portion of your card. And if you didn't really want to have anything else but this sentiment on your card, it would be absolutely fabulous. I'll go ahead and finish up using that Bear glue and then place down that pink panel on top. Please let me know if you guys have enjoyed this card series. I had so much fun making them, and I will be back with more card series in the future. I usually do another one around the holiday time frame, but I'll be doing a lot more tutorials besides waiting for the holidays or Christmas. All right, once I have that all done, I love how this looks, and look how gorgeous that is. Like I said, you could just use just this die cut and you would be fine on a card. I am going to bring out the U. I love the font of this U sentiment. I am a font snob. If you have not heard that in other videos, I really do love a pretty font. I'm going to cut this out in that mushroom. So again, it's going to give me a little bit of a pop on my card panel without going to black. I usually do use a lot of black on my cards. If you like look through my Instagram, I use a lot of black on my cards. But this mushroom is so pretty to me and works so well in exchange of just using black. Now that's the diamond press machine that I said I've been using lately. I keep it on my desk, and it's magic just for me doing small little die cuts like this, where I don't have to bring out my big machine and I can just leave it on the corner of my desk. Doesn't take up too much space. Now with this, I also did die cut this out 3 times as well. Again, I want to give this a little bit of weight without having to use my foam tape. So now you can really see how great this nozzle is on this glue. I mean, this U is very tiny and it's thin. And I'm being able to get in exactly where I need to get in with this glue. I think Mary Polanco was the first person I saw that used this glue. And I was like, okay, do I really need another glue? Yes, I did need another glue because this is absolutely perfect. Just for these points right here, that I'm not wasting a lot of glue. I'm not getting glue everywhere. This is just the perfect fine line for me when it comes down to using glue now. I'll go ahead and put another layer on the back of this, and then I'll have that thick U sentiment that I'm looking for. And you can see that this really has good weight to it. It's a nice little thick U now. So let's go ahead and start building up the card. I do want to trim this panel down because I want to put this onto some of that mushroom cardstock. So I am going to take about 1/8 of an inch on all 4 sides. I like trimming my cardstock like this, especially if I've made like a background out of it. I just want to make sure like I have even wording per se all the way around my card. So I do like to trim off all 4 sides. Now I do want to bring in some of that mushroom cardstock because I absolutely love this gray cardstock. I think it's so pretty. And again, it keeps me from always using black on my card. So since I was able to trim down that panel, I'm going to have a nice little border all the way around my card. So again, I'm using that berry glue. I'm just going to squirt some of that on the back. And then I'm going to use my grid to help me line that up. All right, now I'm going to bring in my T-ruler to help me line up my sentiment straight on my card. Now, I could go straight up and down with this sentiment, but I actually want to have it shifted off to the right just a little bit. I think that's just going to give a different look to the card instead of just stacking the sentiment. But again, it will look totally gorgeous if you just decided to stack the V and the E directly under the L and the O. Again, perfect die cut for allowing you to have a little bit of flexibility with your placement. So again, I'm just going to use that T-ruler to help me line everything up. And I'm just kind of like allowing it to kind of bump. So all of the letters are pretty close to each other, but I do want a little bit of a gap. And that T-ruler is allowing me to do that. So now I can go ahead and press that down. Again, using wet adhesive works wonders when you're working with die cuts. I'm going to go ahead and press that down to make sure it is adhering directly to that card panel. And now I can come in with that beautiful U. I think that looks so pretty there. But I do want to make sure to have everything straight. And again, using that wet adhesive is going to allow me just that tad bit of wiggle room to make sure I have everything in place. Now I can go ahead and pop up that gorgeous sentiment. I would love to see the color combinations that you guys can come up with when designing your backgrounds of your cards. Remember, using little stamps like this is a perfect way to stretch those stamps out. Instead of just stamping just one, stamp a cluster of them and you can make your own designer paper. I mean, look how gorgeous this card is. I absolutely love it. Now I'm going to adhere this down to a white card base. But before I do that, I think I want to add in a little bit of shimmer to this card. And I cut that gray so it covers all of the front of that card base. Now I am going to bring in my, this is my scrapbook.com shimmer pin. It's like my go-to little tool now if I want to add a little bit of shimmer to a card without having glitter paper or adding much bulk to my card. Now I did have these tiny little hearts in my stash. I want to say I might have got these from Trinity stamps. I'm not sure. But they're just tiny, clear little hearts. And I thought by adding these hearts, it'd give me some movement and some weight to this card without me having to add any color. I love using clear gems on my cards because the clear gem isn't fighting with anything. It's not competing with another color. So now I'm just going to grab that same glue. And I'm just going to add a few of these on my card panel. I don't want to have a lot of them, but I did just want to have bits and pieces of these little hearts. I need to clean my little KATANA stick there. I have a lot of glue buildup on there. So I'm going to use that, and I'm also going to use my tweezers to get those little gems in place. Again, you see them on the card, but it's not competing. So look how gorgeous that looks. Now all I have to do is adhere this panel down onto the card base. And that is going to be it, you guys. We have finished up a card series and that seems like it went super, super fast. I'll place that down and the card is done. Thank you guys for all of your sweet comments. Remember, if you're not subscribed, go ahead and hit that bell so you can visit me every time I have a new card up. Thank you guys so much, and I will see you guys back here shortly with another video. Here is the completed card. Until then, you guys stay safe and be well. Bye-bye.